Hey guys, welcome back. So it is early 2026 and you know the smartphone market feels like it is in a really weird place right now. With the iPhone 17 Pro out there pushing 12 gigabytes of RAM and those massive camera upgrades, a lot of you have been asking me if it is still worth picking up a 14 Pro or a 15 Pro to save some cash, or maybe you are still holding on to one of these and wondering if you are really missing out. In this video, we are doing a side-by-side comparison of my gold iPhone 14 Pro and my natural titanium 15 Pro to see which one actually holds the crown for the best value in 2026. We will cover everything from the new liquid glass design in iOS 26 to why one of these might actually be a better buy than a brand new base model iPhone 17. You know, looking back, it is crazy how much these phones changed the game when they first dropped. The 14 Pro was that wow moment with the dynamic island and the first 48 megapixel sensor. Then a year later, the 15 Pro showed up with titanium and finally gave us USB-C. But in 2026, the context is totally different. We are not just talking about new features anymore. We are talking about longevity, battery health, and whether these chips can really handle the heavy AI world we live in now. Let's talk about the feel first because it is a big one. My 14 Pro is in gold, and I have got to be humble here. I still think the surgical grade stainless steel looks more expensive than the newer materials. It has got that high gloss shine, but man, it is a total fingerprint magnet. At 206 grams, it is heavy. When I have been using my main phone and I switch back to this for a review, I really noticed that weight in my pocket. Now, the 15 Pro in natural titanium is just, well, it is more practical. It is 187 grams, so about 19 grams lighter, which doesn't sound like much on paper, but you really feel the difference during a long scrolling session. The edges are also slightly contoured, so it doesn't dig into your palm like the sharp rails of the 14 Pro. One thing I really appreciate is how this brushed matte titanium is much more proof to fingerprints compared to the 14 Pro. It stays looking clean way longer. Also, look at the side here. The 15 Pro replaced that classic mute switch with the customizable action button. I find it so much more useful since I can set it to my camera or the flashlight instead of just flipping a switch once a day. Display-wise, both have beautiful 120Hz Pro motion screens, which in 2026 is basically the industry standard. But there is some cool history here. The 14 Pro was actually the first iPhone to feature a Pro motion display that could ramp all the way down to 1 Hz. That 1 Hz tech is exactly what allowed Apple to finally introduce the always-on display because it refreshes so slowly that it's supposed to be very safe for your battery. But to be honest with you guys, me personally, I just turn it off. I found that even at 1 Hz, it made my standby drain just a bit too noticeable for my liking. And it can be a little distracting when the phone is just sitting on my desk. Now, when the 15 Pro came out, they kept that great 1 Hz to 120 Hz range, but they really refined the look. The bezels on the 15 Pro are much thinner. We are talking 1.55 millimeters compared to the 2.17 millimeters on the 14 Pro. It makes the 15 Pro look way more modern and immersive, like the screen is just floating there. On the performance side, I ran Geekbench 6 on both of these running the latest iOS 26. My 14 Pro with its A16 Bionic pulled 2,692 for single core and 7,018 for multi-core. For day-to-day stuff, it is still pretty good. Apps open quick and it handles most games just fine. But here is the kicker. It only has 6 gigabytes of RAM. In 2026, apps are just more demanding. I noticed my 14 Pro reloading background apps way more often than I would like. The 15 Pro with the A17 Pro, the first 3nm chip, is a different beast. It scored 2,787 single core and 7,196 multi-core with a metal GPU score of 28,115. Because it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, it is just much more reliable for multitasking. It was also the first iPhone that could play actual AAA console games. It does get warm and sometimes even hot during heavy gaming or when I am first updating the software, but it is not that annoying heat that makes you want to stop using it. Battery is where the 14 Pro is really showing its age. My unit is at 78% health, and yeah, as you can see here, I have got this important battery message from Apple. If I am just using it lightly, it holds up okay, but if I am out on 5G and doing demanding tasks, I am reaching for a charger by the afternoon. It definitely needs a twice-a-day charge now. Remember, the 14 Pro was only rated for 500 cycles before hitting 80%, while the 15 Pro was designed for 1000 cycles. My 15 Pro is at 86% health with 492 cycles. It is much more stable. I can usually get through a busy day on one charge if I am not constantly on it, but for constant use, it is still a twice a day phone. The new adaptive power feature in iOS 26 has actually helped me squeeze out a bit more idle time, which is a nice touch. Camera-wise, both are 48 megapixels, but they are not the same. The 15 Pro captures 24 megapixels photos by default, while the 14 Pro sticks to 12 megapixels. When you crop in, the 15 Pro photos have way more detail. It is not even close. Plus, the 15 Pro lets you switch between 24, 28, and 35mm focal lengths, which is a dream for street photography. The 15 Pro also has log recording and ACES support for video pros. If you compare these to the new iPhone 17 Pro, you are missing out on a longer zoom telephoto, 18 megapixel center stage selfie camera, and that new dual capture feature where you can film your reaction and the stage at the same time. But for day-to-day work, it still feels very high-end and relevant. Both of these are running the latest iOS 26 liquid glass design. I personally love it. It is so fluid with all these translucent layers and refractive animations. It makes older versions feel flat and boring. The 14 Pro handles it well, but the 15 Pro feels just a bit more at home with these new animations. Now for Apple Intelligence, let's be honest here. The 14 Pro doesn't support it. The 15 Pro does. But for me, it is not a deal breaker because even in 2026, Apple Intelligence still feels like it is in a beta stage. I usually find myself using alternatives that are more powerful like Gemini or ChatGPT for the heavy lifting anyway. Now there are a few things you have to consider. First, the port. If you buy a 14 Pro, you are stuck with Lightning in a USB-C world. And if you go for the 15 Pro, you have got USB-C. But remember, the base model iPhone 15, 16, and even the 17 are still using USB 2.0 speeds, which is only 480 megabits per second. The 15 Pro has USB 3.0 technology, which is 20 times faster for moving files. That is a massive advantage if you actually move photos or videos to a computer. So, final thoughts. For me, I can't recommend the iPhone 14 Pro as a purchase right now. You are much better off stretching your budget just a little bit for the 15 Pro. The price to value on the 15 Pro right now is honestly a steal. You get the titanium build, 8 gigabytes of RAM for the long run, great pro cameras, and that fast USB-C port. If you were thinking about a 15 Pro Max for the battery, maybe look at a 16 Pro instead. It is more mature, has better thermals, and gives you that same 5-brick zoom, but in a more compact size. But if you want to go all out and get that upgrade that isn't just incremental anymore, then the 17 Pro is the way to go. Anyway, I'm Surdihatera, and this is Tech Titans. Let me know in the comments which one you're rocking. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.